because I think that's why food is so special. It means so much more than just something to nourish you, something to eat. It's really a culmination of all these amazing things.
Hello, welcome to Fluorescent. Today I am joined by Nadine Belal, who is an amazing cook. We are going to be talking all things cooking and food.
So hi, I'm Nadine, as she mentioned. I run a food Instagram account called Never Too Late to Cook. Started during quarantine and it's just been growing for there, and it's really exciting. So I'm really glad to be talking with you today about it.
Wonderful. So my first question is, how did you get interested in cooking and cookery?
I mean, people ask me this all the time because obviously I'm always seen around the kitchen, whether it's friends or family. I think it's just a case of being surrounded by it. Growing up, my sister was always baking. My mum and dad were always in the kitchen. When I go around to relatives' house, there was really like a sense of the kitchen being the heart of the home, and food was always such a big part of everything we did, whether it was like a dinner party, meeting family, having a big lunch together, celebration. It was always just such a big part of my life, so it was bound to rub off on me. And so I think all of my earliest memories were me in the kitchen, watching people cook, helping them out, chopping. As soon as I could get my hand on a knife and a wooden spoon, I was there helping out. So I guess for me, it was just something that happened from a real passion and love, and something really embedded in my family and culture that I just took on and just loved it and then kept going with it.
What are the main foods or cuisines that you draw influence from or that you enjoy cooking?
I think, so it'd be hard not to draw from my heritage. So I've got my dad's side, which is Egyptian, so I take a lot of influence from Middle Eastern style of cooking. I obviously grew up a lot of the time going and visiting Egypt, trying different foods, seeing my aunties and uncles cook. So that was obviously a big influence in my cooking. And then of course on my mother's side, the Italian side, so more of the Mediterranean. So I've had like a combination of two really incredible, in my opinion, cuisines and like heritage and cultures fused together. And I think I have an appreciation for loads of different things, which I'm happy I do, and I've tried lots of different things as well. So it means that I love drawing influence from everything. I think the greatest respect and like you can pay to any culture or any heritage is by experimenting and trying their food and understanding the history behind it, and then obviously trying to pay homage to it by respecting it in my own cooking and trying to draw on those influences, because I think that's why food is so special. It means so much more than just something to nourish you, something to eat. It's really a culmination of all these amazing things. So I think I draw mainly influences from that. But then I love cooking Asian food as well, just because I love Asian food. I think there's a multitude of different ways you can do so. So traveling is one big thing. If you have access to it and you're lucky to be able to do so. I was fortunate enough in my life. I traveled to some like great place like Malaysia. I remember my trip to Malaysia was probably one of the most influential trips, trying like all the fresh foods that they had. So that's one big thing. But also aside from that, that's just speaking to people. I'm pretty sure if you speak to people, you'll find out the different heritage, finding people around you who that's their culture. I think finding from the source. I think with anything, if you're going to learn any topic or you wanted to find out about anything, you should go to the source. You should go to people from that country. You go people who have grown up eating those dishes or grown up cooking those dishes and speak to them, because for them, again, they're going to have that real love and passion that's going to come out, and you're really going to understand it better than you would do from reading some website from some who knows who's read it. There's nothing to say that you can't learn about it. Like myself, I'm cooking all these dishes because I learned from it, and there's so many resources online where you can read about it and cookbooks as such. But I think for me, really, it's trying to find the source, whether it's reading a cookbook written by someone who is from Japan or from Malaysia, or speaking to my Indian friends, Pakistani friends, hearing about what they grew up eating. I think that's what's really important to me, learning where the heart comes from, because you don't get that a lot of the time with all the sources online.
And from that, I suppose it can be easy to get stuck cooking or return to your classics, especially as a student. Like I've just found, just minute rice and something. So what ways would you recommend like changing things up and experimenting?
Yeah.
you say is like a good way to expand what you know is good, because it's just quick and easy?
No, of course, and like I'm not even going to sit here and be like, oh, just try something new. I mean, I was a university student. I just graduated, so a lot of the time it was, as much I would love to cook, you just don't have the time. So it's like whatever's closest, whatever's quickest, I'm going to make that. But I think it's when you do have the time to do so, it's trying an ingredient you've thought about but never used before. Maybe it's going to different supermarkets, going to your local Asian supermarket, going to your local Middle Eastern store, looking just through the aisles, looking at the different vegetables available, different fresh produce, and seeing, okay, I've never tried that before. I may know a little bit about it, but let's try it. How can I incorporate this into a dish? Maybe it's a dish I like already. Can I add it to it? Or maybe I'm in a search for that ingredient and see what comes up, and then try out those dishes. I think with everything, it applies to not just food and cooking, just everything in general. The first step is trying, just putting yourself out there and trying different things. I think there is really no wrong or right answer with cooking. It's just experimenting, and from there you're going to develop all these new loves for different tastes and flavors.
What's maybe a good way to start building up confidence with cooking?
I think first of all, just start. I know loads of people, and as I know this sounds so basic, and I know this is like the most not like non-answer to be like, just start, because they always say just start, but it really is just getting into the kitchen and like learning to fall in love with it. I know there are lots of different things that can seem daunting and challenging. Even me, when I read some recipes, I'm like, this sounds a bit, I don't really understand techniques as such, or I've never tried these flavors before. But it really is just getting in there and start with something you're familiar with. Maybe pick a dish that you had growing up, or maybe that you've had at a restaurant that you really liked, and see if you can do one component or something similar based upon it, or if you can find a recipe online that you can follow, something simple. And then from there you'll realize that actually it's not that daunting, it's not that hard. It's actually just, once you begin to start, it's really something simple, and I think people can really pick it up fairly quickly.
So you were saying at the beginning that you've set up this food Instagram blog called Never Too Late to Cook. Tell us a bit about it and why you set it up.
It was always something in the back of my mind. I've always, as I said, I've always loved cooking. I've always been in the kitchen. It's always something I've done. And it was always something in the back of my mind, maybe I should start something. But it's something you always just like push back. Like university comes, deadlines come, you're like, okay, maybe later, maybe the next holiday. And then really in March, we all plunged into lockdown. I was really given an abundance of time, and it gave me I was fortunate enough to have all this time to really dedicate to a passion that I love and get back into it when it's not the necessity and convenience of university style cooking. And then my brother was just like, why didn't you start an Instagram? You've been meaning to do so. Why didn't you just start it? So I think it was like mid-April, I did my first post. It was just like a simple cake I posted. And then I really just fell in love with it. I was just wanting to post every single day. I wanted to interact with people, learning about other people's accounts, discovering new food pages, discovering new inspiration within my cooking. And it kind of just spiraled from there. Just if you really want to be someone who's growing fast and engaging with their audience, then pay attention to analytics, see what days people like are more active on Instagram, what times of the day people like posting, what regions people are from, and post based on that. But I find that really boring. Like, I start this page for fun. So I think the main thing for being engaging is just making sure that you're posting because you want to post. That it's meant to be fun. Cooking is fun. It's all these different things. And I think for me, I'm making sure that I'm constantly enjoying it. And I think it's contagious. Positivity, engagement is contagious. So if you're enjoying what you're doing, your account or your blog will hopefully also be engaging to other people as well. And as you mentioned, I've started a food challenge. It's not necessarily a novel idea, but it was just something I wanted to find a way to really challenge myself and to really try new ingredients, because it can be easy for me to rest on my laurels, rest on my dishes, rest on my own knowledge and be like, I'm fine. But I want to try different things. And I think the 6 ingredient Sunday challenge was a way for me to not only interact with new creators that I met through this page, but it was also a way to challenge myself and see how I can be given such a limited amount of ingredients, 6 ingredients plus a few basic pantry ideas, and create a dish out of nothing, really.
What would you say is the absolute golden rule of cooking?
Okay, so if I'm in the more literal sense, and I'm gonna say tasting. I think it sounds really cliche and really basic, but genuinely just tasting your food as you go along. I think a lot of the times when I'm cooking or when I've seen other people cook dishes, when you get to the end result, it's not what you're expecting. It's just a case of just trying food along the process. But if you want the more like warm and fuzzy response, I'd say the golden rule of cooking is having fun, genuinely, because as I said, food is so much more than just eating a meal because I need to eat or getting nourishment. I mean, that's a big part of it, yes, but food to me and to a lot of people is just, it's love, it's heritage. Food is a way to express yourself in a non-conventional sense, and I don't think people really appreciate that it really is a creative outlet that you can use to express yourself and to really share and spread your love with other people. Fall in love with cooking, because who doesn't love a good meal?
If people want to see more of your work, where would they go to and how can they find out more about it?
Sure. So yeah, just go to my Instagram page, the source of it all, at Never Too Late to Cook. It feels so weird plugging it because again, it like I said, it's growing something more, so now it feels weird plugging it. But yeah, go onto my account at Never Too Late to Cook, and you'll find my face probably posting on Insta stories about something or another, and you'll find all my different posts, 6 ingredient Sunday challenges, food reviews, sometimes recipes, and just like dinner inspiration pics. Whatever I've cooked, all probably on there. So
thank you very much for joining us today. It's been wonderful.